Hello everybody, can you see me? Good evening folks. Hey there Wilmer. Hey there Hastings. Hi Sparky. How's the sound quality? Can you guys all hear me? So can you guys hear me okay? Hello, I'm asking you guys. You guys there? Okay, all right. Thank you, Ben. I guess there's a little bit of a delay here. I got a little bit of a background sound. Got a surprise for you tonight. I'm not broadcasting from my truck. I'm doing the live stream from inside a break room at the Crete and Schaefer terminal in Indianapolis, Indiana. My truck's in the shop tonight, so hopefully I'll get it back soon, but had some headlight problems and they had to replace both of my headlights. Can you believe that? So hey Randy, how you doing? Hi Gaffa. Hi John Daly, how you doing tonight? How's the weather there in California? So, Mr. Daly, how's that weather over in California? You got the beautiful California weather? Hi Ron Brights. Sunny and breezy. I wish I were in that. It's pretty cold out here tonight. The company had me drive a company truck, not a semi-truck, a pickup truck, to go pick up a part for them from the Freightliner dealership. And as I made a turn on a road right ready to get onto an on-ramp of the freeway, I slid across the road on some ice. So that wasn't too fun tonight. That was an interesting thing. But I'm glad it's peachy there in Illinois. So I'm going to be going to Illinois next after my truck is fixed. I'll probably be pulling out tomorrow morning. It's getting a little late now. But I'm going to be going down the southern route across the I-70 and then into St. Louis that way. Got to take a load over to Denver. So that's what I'm doing. But anyway, tonight I want to discuss with you guys the importance of tourist trains. How many of you have ridden on a tourist train? Not a regular train, not a regular railroad like the Amtrak or the Via, but a specialized railroad that's been set up just to take tourists. Sometimes they're parts of museums, will be that way, or sometimes they're just a special run, like the one I recently rode on in Mexico. It really is a tourist train, although it could almost be like the Amtrak or Via in Mexico for this area of Mexico. But it caters mainly to tourists. The Cass Scenic Railroad in West Virginia. Have you been on that one, John? Hey Tony, welcome here. It's good to see you. Hey Toy Man, it's good to see you too. Well, that's really cool, John. I'm glad to hear you've ridden on that one. So welcome aboard this excursion, Tony. Yeah, that was a nice video you put out. Really liked it, seeing what your update there, what you did with your cemetery in that house. But anyway, as I was mentioning to you guys, and by the way, I apologize about the lighting. I got the best angle I could on this camera, where I could plug it in, my cell phone camera. But there's fluorescent lighting in here, so I can't do too much about it. I just tried to get a corner of the room where I could avoid the shine of the lights and the excessive shine of them. But it's still not the perfect lighting for this, but what can we do? So hello Nora, welcome aboard too. Yeah, that one in Fillmore looks nice, in Fillmore, California. Well, how many of you that are here with me tonight have ever ridden on the Chepe Express, also known as the Chihuahua Pacifico Railroad in Chihuahua, Mexico? It runs between Chihuahua and Sonora, Mexico, across the Continental Divide and across the Sierra Tarahumara Mountains there. It's a beautiful area, and it goes right past Mexico's version of the Grand Canyon. It's called Copper Canyon, or in Spanish they call it Barrancas de Cobre. It is a beautiful, impressive canyon, and my wife says it's as big as the Grand Canyon or bigger. I don't know if it is, but it was huge. It was definitely one of the world's largest and deepest canyons. I can attest to that after seeing it. But that train goes past all that. Have any of you ridden on the Chepe Express? I'm just curious. So anybody? Anybody that's here ever ridden on it? Yeah, please, like Gaffa says, please give me a thumbs up if you would. It's always nice to have that. So I've got 10 of them so far. I've got 15 online here, 15 that have joined me tonight. So I published a video a couple days ago that shows the experience I had on that tourist train. So I posted a link. You'll see it down below this video. So after we're done here, if you want, you can click on the link and go see my video where I made a video log of my tour there on that tourist train. It was really something pretty amazing. Some amazing stuff. And I know Sparky, about 2 or 3 years ago, went on the Grand Canyon Railway. That's another great tourist train. From Williams, Arizona, all the way up to the Grand Canyon. I rode on it about 4 or 5 years ago, I think it was, with my daughters during Christmas time. They had a special program on the train called the Polar Express. It didn't go all the way to the Grand Canyon, but it went to Santa's Village instead. My daughters had a blast with that. And they basically modeled the train ride after that movie, and there's a book called The Polar Express. They tried to duplicate that experience. They even brought us hot chocolate. The girls really enjoyed it. But yeah, with Vinny, Roy, and Arizona Train Granny. That's right, with Diana. So that is an amazing ride, the Grand Canyon Railway. It's really beautiful, and I recommend anybody that wants to do it to go see it. And as I understand, Sparky, you're going to be going to Steamtown, and they offer train rides. Are you going to be going on train rides? That's another tourist train. And Ben, I haven't ever heard of Agawa Canyon. Where's that at? Is that in Canada? Or where is that exactly? Oh, that tourist train in Black Hills sounds really nice. That must have been an amazing experience. So, where is that Agawa? Can you give me some more information about that, Ben? Northern Ohio, or Northern Ontario, just north of... Oh, that's a beautiful area up there. I've been on the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, but I never went to Saint Sainte Marie. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But that sounds like a nice train. So, Sparky, let me try to read. I'm gonna hopefully you see your message here. You were saying, I will not be asking for a small train trip for us all. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Sault Ste. Marie, okay. Like, yeah, thank you. Like the Sioux Railway or Railroad, right? Just like that. So thanks. So Steamtown sounds like a nice experience, and I hope many of you that do go to Steamtown with Sparky this spring. Sparky, can you give the date on that? Can you go ahead and post it? I'd like to see it when you're going to be doing that. I know a lot of things have been booked already, but if there's any stragglers on that come by and want to see and just show up at Steamtown, maybe it'd be good to give them the date. You know, they can come there and maybe share some of the activities with you. I sure would like to, but my trekking schedule, I never know where I'm going to be next, so it's hard to make plans for that. But, oh, that's, okay. That sounds like a great idea, that diner car. Well, this Chepe train that we went on, we didn't have a diner car experience. We were on it that long. And it also went around a horseshoe curve. I documented that in my video that I posted today. You know, or told you when I did it. You could see we doubled back on the rails. But We had to, because we didn't make reservations. I guess the reservations for that train are sold months in advance for the first class. And if you don't get in, at Christmas time, it's a very high usage time. A lot of tourists go during that time, during Christmas and New Year's. So we weren't able to get reservations, or they were all sold out. So they have a luxury train. It's almost like the Orient Express of Mexico. It's extremely luxurious. We weren't able to get into that. We got a second class train, and basically what it is, it's on standby. You go there and see if you can get the tickets the day the train is there. And we were lucky. There was enough seats that we were able to get in and take the train for a short ride, relatively short. It was about an hour or more. We went through several tunnels. We were winding around the mountains through incredible pine forest. And like I said, in the end, we came out right on the edge of Copper Canyon in a place that's called Divisadero. I think that's how you pronounce it. I mispronounced it in the video. I kept saying Divisadora, but it's actually Divisadero. And that means divide in Spanish, like the continental divide. It was very high up. It was incredibly high. And right there, right next to the continental divide, is Copper Canyon. And it was incredible. That's all I can say. Copper Canyon has a lot of amenities. There's hotels there. There's several different hotels in the area. And there is a new thing that they built within, I think, the last 3 or 4 years. We had a chance to ride on it. It was an aerial tramway that went across the canyon and down into a portion of it. It didn't go all the way down, but it went down into a portion of it. And it was another great viewing area to see the Copper Canyon from a different perspective. And it was nice. That aerial tramway was really nice. So these kind of tourist railways offer us a great chance to ride the trains, for one, to support railroading, the big railroading, and especially tourism and trains in general, passenger trains. And when they're part of a museum, like over at Steamtown, it really helps that museum to further their projects. Every time you take a train ride on one of those. Down near where I live, there's called the Orange, what's it called? The Orange County, or no, not Orange County, Orange Coast Railway Museum. I believe it's in Hemet, California, or somewhere near there. And they've been doing it for years, and you can pay an admission to go in there. You can ride on their trains when they're running them, and it's an incredible thing. It really is. It was started as right after they took all the red cars off, those famous Pacific Electric red cars, the trolleys that ran all over LA and Orange County and San Bernardino County, basically all of Southern California. Except I don't think they went down to San Diego, but a large swath of Southern California they served. And that some very foresighted people, thinking about the history and learning, knowing that red cars were taken off the tracks and were no longer going to be used, decided to make this museum out there. The Orange Empire, it's called Orange Empire. I believe they have a website, Railway Museum. And they started originally just saving the, like I said, saving the trolley cars, but they ended up going into all sorts of locomotives and passenger cars and freight cars and you name it. It's everything related to trains out there now. It's quite a big area they have, and they run trains on their tracks. It goes, I don't know how long it is, but there's a lot of them around the country. Again, where Sparky's going in Steamtown, they have trains. Hey, Roy, welcome aboard. Roy Hardwick, I'm glad you're here. So it's something really nice to see, and every time you go to one of these tourist railroads, you're supporting the cause of, especially in the case of museums, of supporting their restoration efforts to bring back trains and back into their glory of what they once were, and to share them with the public, and the importance of trains and what they have been to our respective countries, Canada and the United States, Mexico, Australia, down where GAFA is. Wherever there are these kinds of tourist trains and museums, it's like taking a ride back in history. It's something really great. So what do you tell me more about some of the tourist railroads you've gone on? Ben, if you're, I'd like to know about that Agawa. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It's by Sault Ste. Marie. Tell me more about that train and what it's like and what other kinds of things you see on it. And is it also in support of a museum? Is it attached to a museum like Steamtown is? Or is it just a tourist railway and that's all they do? They run train lines like the one I rode on, or like the Grand Canyon Railway is also just pretty much just a train ride. It's not a museum. So can you tell me about that? Ben, are you still there? Hello, Ben. Earth to Ben, or I should say Indianapolis to Ben. Maybe he's gone off somewhere. Maybe he's not here. That's so. Oh, there it is. Okay, the Algoma Central. It has been taken over by the CN. Oh, that sounds really awesome. I would love to go on that. All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Well, I just got the word back that my truck is ready. It's out of the shop. Well, I said I'm going to be parking here anyway, so that was my distraction. I was looking over at the mechanic. So I'm going to have to get driving with it tomorrow morning, get back on the road again. So rode across Germany, and it was a steam engine and display every 50 miles. Well, that sounds neat, Michael. That would have been a really neat. You were just on a regular train, though, regular passenger service here in Germany, but was it like in the German towns where they had to have a monument of the old steam trains they used to run? Is that what that was like in Germany? Yeah, I'm curious. Sometimes got a beautiful scenery. Oh, that I'd like. Okay, I got you, Michael. Well, that sounds really great, Ben. Now you're getting me enticed. I'd love to go up there. I think I've only been on 3 tourist railways in my life. Actually, I visited one museum, but I didn't have a chance. No, take that back. I did ride. There was a museum. I can't remember it might have been called San Diego Railroad Museum. No, I don't know if it was Railroad or what it was called, but it's not the Model Railroad Museum. That's in Balboa Park near downtown San Diego. The one I'm talking about is way out in the mountains in Campo, and it's basically they set up shop there and we're running tourist trains out there, and it's a museum too where they restore a lot of old rail cars and locomotives, and it's part of the old San Diego and Arizona Eastern Railway. Hey Cheryl, welcome. Good to see you here. Hey Jeff, I didn't say hi. And Wilmer, by the way, hello. I don't know if I said hi to you. And Joe G, welcome. Yes, Joe, you got to go on the Grand Canyon Railway. That Verde Railway is really nice too. I don't know if you guys have a chance to check it out. Toyman Television is a YouTube channel, and that guy and his wife, his name is Dale and his wife is Karen. They live in Utah. They produce a lot of great things about trains and models and model cars too, and also they go to car museums and see cars. But he produced a video a few years ago about that Verde Valley Railway and gave a little bit of history behind it too. And it sounds really fascinating. I'd like to see that. And yes, Joe G, if you get a chance, go up to the Grand Canyon Railway and ride it all the way to the canyon if you can from Williams. It's well worth the ride. Hey, Northern Ohio. Welcome to the show tonight. So, well, Gaffa, it'd be great if you could ever come up here to the States or to Canada and visit all of us rail fans. You know, Gaffa Haynes is an amazing. I saw the last night. I was on Toyman. I was over there watching you with Ron there in Toyman, his channel, and you had a chance to show us what you were doing down there in Australia and getting special things from Shapeways and trying to recreate some of the trains that ran down there. That's pretty amazing. Because as we were discussing the night, there are not many people that are doing that, trying to create prototypical models of Australian railways. It's just easier to get model trains of American railways and things like that. And a lot of Aussies are doing that. But that was really neat what you're doing, and I look forward to seeing you do that. But you got to come up here one time, Gaffa, and if you ever get a chance to visit, it'd be great. I'd love to meet you in person. I'm sure a lot of our Canadian friends up there too, Sparky and Ben and a whole bunch of others, would love to meet you too if you ever get out this way. So what you doing tonight? How are you, Cheryl? How's your layout going? How's that been going, your in-scale layout? Can you hear me, Cheryl Crow? Saying, how's your in-scale layout going? Yes, absolutely, yes, that would be great. And I don't know if Cheryl's hearing me right now. I hope she is. But anyway, hey Cheryl, have you ever been on a tourist railway at all? Any kind, anywhere in around the country? Slowly but surely. Okay, that's good to hear about your model railroad. So what about tourist railways? Have you been on anything like that? Yeah, that would be great if Gaffa came to Steamtown. That would be awesome. So Cheryl, what about you? Have you been on a tourist railway before or had the chance to ride on one? I don't know if she's hearing me okay. I'm wondering. Can you guys hear me all okay? How's my voice carrying over? Is it carrying over strong enough? Yeah, that might be a little bit of a budget breaker to fly all the way from Australia to Pennsylvania just to go to Steamtown. Hey, thanks, Gaff. I appreciate it. Yeah, maybe Cheryl's busy chatting there and doesn't want to do that. So, any other stories here? I'm curious. Have any of you... Oh, thank you, Northern Ohio Railroad Action. Appreciate that. Thanks, Container Man 68. Roy there, appreciate it. So, tell me, have any of you other ones had a chance to go on tourist trains? What about you, Container Man? Ridden on Amtrak and ATSF Steam. On ATSF Steam? Where did you do that at? On the ATSF Steam? Cheryl, I really am curious about that. Yeah. Thank you, Tony. So where did you ride on an ATSF Steam? I've never been on a Santa Fe Steam locomotive. That sounds like fun. I'd love to do that. Especially my channel name is ATSF Venta Spur Nscaler. You can tell I love Santa Fe. I like Southern Pacific too, but Santa Fe is my favorite railroad and Southern Pacific's the second. So Cheryl, where did you do that? Tourist line in Duluth. Wow, Michael, tell me about that. I'd like to hear about the tourist line in Duluth. What's that about? And what kind of things did you see on that? And was it associated with the museum too, or not? Michael Brochure was talking about the tourist line in Duluth, Minnesota, I take it. I believe, yes, Duluth, Minnesota, right? So what was that like? And Cheryl, I'm still waiting back for you if you got a answer to where you went on that Santa Fe Steam locomotive from Amarillo, Texas to Winoka, Oklahoma. It was in turn for ATSF. Well, that sounds nice. Was that a special excursion train from Texas to Oklahoma that you rode that Santa Fe Steam locomotive there? I'm gonna put my finger up here and look back at. Very long. Runs along Lake Superior. I bet you it's a beautiful view though of the lake as it's running along Lake Superior, Michael. Michael Brochures. Yeah, thanks for sharing that about the steam locomotive, Cheryl. That was really great. Okay, so it's a railroad museum, huh? I've ridden on the Don River Railway in oh God, you guys are going so fast I gotta back it up. In Davenport, Tasmania. Oh, that sounds really interesting. Gaffa. There's some sort of is it a cog railway? I think it is. It goes up really steep. I think it's in New Zealand. In fact, on my channel, I got some playlists, and whenever I find something interesting, like this one cog railway, and I'm pretty sure it was in New Zealand, it goes up the side of a mountain. I put in, I'll put it in the playlist. I think it's called Cog and Railways, Incline Railways, etc. If you go to my channel and then go to the playlists, you can find it on there. But there's some fascinating railways. I wish I could go on that Pikes Peak Railway. That's a cog railway. Go straight up Pikes Peak. That'd be something awesome. Maybe one of these days I'll get over there when I got some time. It's not too far from Pueblo, Colorado. That would be cool to see. But that railway that you were talking about in Tasmania, is that just a regular railway on regular tracks, or is it like a special railway, like a cog railway that goes up the side of a mountain or a hill or something like that? That question's directed to you, Gaffa. So I was just curious what that was. I'm in Philadelphia area. Okay, Jerry. So you're in the Philadelphia area. Regular old branch line, revamped. Well, that sounds still like a fascinating ride. I'd love to go on something like that. That sounds really interesting about that railway in Tasmania. You know, there were a lot of, I don't know if you had them there in Australia, but there were a lot of railroads that had sugarcane plantations. They had a lot in the state of Hawaii in the United States. And they used little sugar plantation steam engines back in the day, back in the 50s. I might even still use them in the 60s. I'm not for certain. But interestingly enough, if any of you have ever visited Disneyland, and maybe Disney World has this too, but they use steam engines that have been scaled down. They're made to a smaller scale than the standard gauge that we run in the United States and Canada, and in Mexico too. It's a little bit more of a narrow gauge, but not too narrow. And they run trains around Disneyland Park that were taken originally, as I understand it, from those sugar plantation locomotives. I think they had some down in Australia too. But if you've ever visited Disneyland, those locomotives originally, or one or two of them originally came from there. They probably have revamped them since then. But they basically modified them. They took these railroads and modified them and put them out to be run around Disneyland. They did that on opening day in 1955, and those old steam trains. And they're pretty neat. And again, Toyman Television on YouTube, he just this last week and the week before, like every Sunday, he publishes a new video. And he published about some of those things. I think that was 2 weeks ago. He published a little bit about it, about the Disneyland trains that they use the live steam. They were talking about, he was visiting the live steamers at Griffith Park, which is more trains you can, more model trains, but some that you can ride on, and they pull tourists around the park. But they're a lot smaller than a standard narrow gauge, Those are basically for modeling. They have clubs. That's something neat too. Have any of you ever visited a live steam club where live steamers gather? And I'm talking about model trains like garden size railway or bigger. I think they're called 7.5-inch scale or something like that. I don't know if any of you have ever done that. I guess Griffith Park has some of them. And there were many places around. I actually rode on one down in San Antonio. I rode around the San Antonio Zoo, and that was pretty nice. They have one just outside of San Diego Zoo in Balboa Park that also people can ride on. And again, these are more model trains. They're rideable though. You can ride on them, and they have cars where people can fit in there and sit in. But these are not a narrow gauge in the traditional sense. These are a lot smaller, not unlike the Galloping Goose or whatever that Denver, Rio Grande, and Western used out there in parts of Colorado, which was narrow gauge. Hey, how many people you know this? Did you know Southern Pacific had a narrow gauge railroad? The Southern Pacific Railway had a narrow gauge railroad in California, and actually between California and Nevada. Did any of you know that? Cheryl Crow, so you heard about that, huh? Well, there is a museum set up to what they called the Slim Princess. It used to be a steam train. And then later on, I guess it became, they did run some diesels on it. But it basically ran from, I think it was Lone Pine, California, and ran through Bishop, or Laws. They called it LAWS, like the law you have to obey, but LAWS was the name of a town or a station stop. And it ran over the mountains that separate California and Nevada and came down on the other side. It went to some mining towns, like into Mina, I don't know how it's pronounced, Nevada, went into Candelaria. And these were things around the turn of the century, last century, not this century. So they were doing a lot of mining and things down there. And the railroad existed all the way up, I believe, until the 1950s, maybe the 40s. But in Bishop, California, just outside of it, on US 6, there is a sort of a tourist. It is a tourist museum, a train museum, but they don't have live trains. They're not running them now, I don't think. They might. They do have some tracks out there, but I don't know if they're running trains on it for tourists. They're mainly just on show, and they're restoring a lot of cars and old locomotives and things, and giving information about the old Slim Princess that the Southern Pacific used to use. Basically, Southern Pacific had standard gauge line coming all the way up from Mojave, California. It would come through Ridgecrest and wind its way through there. Had an offshoot that went to Trona for their potash that they used to get out of their Trona Lake. And it would, but the rest of the line would go all the way up to Lone Pine. I remember driving on US 395 behind the Sierra Nevada mountains out in the middle of the desert, and driving up from Ridgecrest. You could drive all the way up from Mojave and go up to Independence, Lone Pine. Those tracks used to cross it all the way out there. And they discontinued the line, I think at some point in the 1980s. It stopped using it, and they eventually tore up the tracks and all the crossings it had north of Ridgecrest. But they still have service that runs on the Trona Railway that goes into Trona. That part of the line still exists. But it used to go all the way up to Lone Pine, and I believe it was there, the standard gauge, they'd have to intersect with the narrow gauge. And back in the 1940s and 50s, the narrow gauge would connect, they would have to offload the cars from the standard gauge and basically transload to the narrow gauge cars and take things all the way to the narrow gauge that would go up through Bishop, California, through Laws, and up over the mountains and into Nevada to Candelaria, a famous gold mining town. It's now a ghost town. There's another ghost town out there. It was also a mining community that used to serve. And then it would come down into Mina, Nevada, and there it would pick up also. They'd interchange with a Southern Pacific standard gauge again. That went all the way up into the munitions depot, the munitions plant at can't think of the name of the town. It's north of Mina in Nevada, and it would go up to there and then on up into Carson City and basically in Reno and that area, and connect to the main Southern Pacific Transcon line. I guess we call it Transcon. It went all the way from the Bay Area, Roseville, their main yards, down in California, Sacramento, down into Oakland, and then you take the line and go over Donner Pass and come into Nevada, the Transcon line, and it would connect in, I believe it was Salt Lake City, or I know maybe in Ogden, but probably Salt Lake City, with the Union Pacific Railroad. And back in the days, when before Union Pacific bought everybody out. This was back in the 70s and 80s. But it was interesting to know that narrow gauge was in service up until about in the 50s, I believe, 40s or 50s, the 1940s and 1950s, and It was quite in use. It was, I think, it was built and probably operating for about 60 or 80 years. So I know they built it around, I believe, the 1800s, somewhere around then, the late 1800s, and built it over the mountains of Nevada, between Nevada and California. Have any of you ever, that are watching tonight, been to the Laws Railroad Museum in Bishop, California, and seen any of that? So did you guys hear me? Sure, approach to get what I sent. Last 20 minutes. Okay. SP is an oil burner. Yes, they did burn oil. In fact, the old narrow gauge ones also burned oil. So it was something really neat to see. Have any of you ever been to the Laws Railroad Museum? They have a website for it too, in Bishop, California. I'm just curious if anybody's seen that here. Here you're good, Tom. Well, thanks. I appreciate it. Appreciate that, Wilmer. Yeah, that might be a little far for you to visit. But maybe one of these days we can talk you into coming up here, Gaffa, huh? That'd be cool. Well, you guys all know you've been waiting to find out who our special guest is. If you saw Boxcar Benny's, Creative Rails, that's his channel, you saw his announcement, there's a special guest coming up that we are going to have hosting the 5th Friday. Originally, we were just going to leave the 5th Fridays alone and take it off. But we guys that put on this live stream decided that it would be really cool if we got a guest host to host our. Hey, I'm sorry, guys. I'm doing a live stream over here, so sorry about that. I won't be that long. Sorry. All right, no problem. Sorry about that, guys. Here I'm back. But yeah, so we're gonna have a special guest host on the 5th Tuesday. There's 5 Tuesdays in 2019 this year that we need to cover that are the 5th Tuesday of the month. So, are you ready, guys? You want to know who's gonna host our next live stream? If you read the description down below, you'll notice I did not post a link to it yet. When I'm done with this live stream tonight, I will go back and edit it so you can check in later when it reposts after the broadcast, and it will have the link to the channel for next week. But so who's all ready? Who wants to know the name of the live stream? Eminem Rail's my guest, Sparky. Ron Bright says Gaff. Who else has a guess? I'm not going to tell you yet. I just want to see who. I want to see some guesses out there. Who do you think's going to do it? Cheryl Crow says Gaff. Anyone else have a guess? Yes, please make a guess. Come on, Randy. Spill the beans. Now, give me your guess first, Randy. I want to see who you guess it will be. Yes, please. William Sullivan. Go for it. I'll go for it in a second. Michael, give me. Did you? Okay, Rodney. EGNS says Rodney. Jerry says Joe G. Gaffa Haynes says Rodney. All right. Toyman says Ron Brights. Vinny says Michael Brochures. Am I pronouncing your name right, Michael Brochures? I hope I'm saying that right. Vinny, BNSF 6951. I got another vote for him. So I think it's going to be him. Toyman says, not me. Laughing out loud. LOL. Not you, huh, Ron? Big Bill. Yeah, Big Bill would be. Oh, Ken Patterson would be cool. I'd love to have him guest host our show. That would be cool. Well, I'm going to spill the beans on something. Not about who's. I'm going to let you know who's going to do next week in a minute. But I'm going to let you know a surprise we've been working on for a future guest host. This may not happen till July. But I'm going to go ahead and spill the beans on it. Have any of you seen what am I going to say? I'm keeping you guys in suspense, aren't I? Have any of you seen, what am I going to say, huh, guys? What am I going to say? Well, I'm going to give you his channel name symbol. This is not for next week. This is for July. we're getting it firmed up for July. He's already made a commitment for it. He has the railroad symbol, like the regular railroad crossing, the yellow, round yellow sign. Whose channel has that on there as their symbol for the channel? Anybody know? Okay, I'm giving you a good hint. If you've ever seen it. Okay, again, this is not next week's. This is for July. We're setting up another special guest host. You ever seen that? It's a round yellow, like a railroad crossing sign, basically. Not the crossbucks. The one you see before that's a round sign. It says RR on it. It has, it's crosswise like this. It's a yellow sign with black lettering. No, I don't think Steve Brown says IMRR, but it doesn't say railroad. He has the yellow sign with the crossbucks, you're right. But his says IMRR, is like, it's my railroad. So, yep, Buck, you got it. TSG. Good guess. So, we're getting basically the head of that channel. He's going to come and guest host our show for, yep, he's going to do it. John Abaticola. I think I'm pronouncing his name right. I wish he were here tonight. I know sometimes he's come into our shows, but he's a busy guy. We were going to get him for, I believe it was the April show, but he had a conflict, scheduling conflict. He's going to be up on the what's that, tourist railroad up in, talking about tourist railroads again. Yep, John Abaticola. He's going to be on in July. But in April, he's going to be on in Colorado, doing some filming for his TSG Multimedia of what's it called, the Durango and Western or Durango Southern, I think Durango Southern or whatever. You know what I'm talking about, right, guys? Somebody help me out with that. What's the name of that railroad in Durango and Silverton? That's it. I was trying to remember what the name of it is. He's going to be out there filming some stuff for his future TSG Multimedia episodes. So, yep, we're really happy. We've been working hard to get some guests that will host this with us on our 5th Tuesdays. So, I'm going to do a little drum roll. Hopefully it's not going to sound too... But for next week, using this table here, our guest host is going to be Gaffa Haynes. That's it, guys. Now you know who's going to be next week. Gaffa Haynes. After this broadcast tonight, I'm going to put a link in the video. Yep, little old you, Gaffa. So that's who's going to do next week. So it's going to be really cool. Gaffa's going to be coming on board. He's going to try to link up to us, to all 4 of us guys if it's possible. Who knows where I'm going to be. Sometimes I have a signal, sometimes I don't. But he's going to try to use Google, what do you call it? Google Hangouts, I guess is what it is. We did a test on it the other night when I tuned in to Toy Man. I was over with Ron there and Gaffa. And we finally figured out and we got me on. So that's a surprise. Gaffa from Down Under. Going to do it at 7 p.m. Eastern Time next Tuesday. What time will that be for you, Gaffa? I'm curious. What time is that in Down Under, there in Australia? 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here is what time for you, Gaffa? Can you tell us? $11:30 a.m. Okay, I guess that's a pretty good time for you. You're awake and about, and so that'll be cool, Gaffa. We will look forward to you guest hosting on Track Tuesday. Wednesday. Oh, that's right. For you, it will be on Track Wednesday, even though it's our Tuesday. I forgot about the date change because of the international date line. It goes, you're a day later. So that's cool. That's cool. So everybody, he's going to be on his channel. And if anybody, Gaffa, if you want to put a link up, that's okay. Put a link to your channel right now, so I don't have to get out of this live stream. But I will be posting to the video afterward, to the description. So I will add that. But anybody that has GAFA's channel, if they want to post it now so they can get it right now, it'd be great. So you go ahead and add that. Yeah, it's not your day. On Wednesday, it's GAFA's Thursday. Don't forget that, Sparky. Oh, you're funny, Sparky. So on his Wednesday, it's our Tuesday. I just guess we got to get used to that. The international date line change, right? So that's the surprise. So we got a lot of things in store coming up for On Track Tuesdays. We're really trying to make this a great venue for all of you guys, all the model railroaders here that share in the hobby and love real trains too, and sharing like what I shared today about the tourist trains. And if you have a chance, go and check out my video. The link is now in the description. It is there if you go and see it, and you can see my tourist video that I did of the tourist train, the tourist railway, the Chepe in Mexico, and the awesome trip that it was. And you get some beautiful sights are in there. You can see some of the incredible views of Copper Canyon and things like that. So I recommend you go do that. But again, this is what we're doing here at On Track Tuesday. We're trying to bring you different content every week about trains and model trains a lot, and also real trains. So we try to share a little bit of everything that's for all of us that love trains. So I'm glad you guys are all here today enjoying this, and spread the word. Tell your friends, let everybody know that we're doing On Track Tuesday, and get as many people that can watch. We have 20, I don't know what the maximum was tonight, but I see we've got 20 viewers tonight, so that's good. Yeah, it's gonna have to be called On Track Tuesday's Wednesday Night Live Chat. Yeah, for Sparky, that's for sure. You're too funny, Sparky, I could tell you. But that is really true for GAFA's live stream. Yeah, it didn't occur to me, but I'm glad he reminded us that it's on a different day for him, 11:30 in the morning. So, you guys are too funny, I tell you. Well, GAFA, thank you for agreeing to host our next show next Tuesday. That's going to be fun. And this really is an international, live stream. As you know, we got three of us are from the United States, right? And then one is from Canada, and that's Boxcar Benny with Creative Rails. And now we have GAFA doing a guest host from Australia. So that makes this a real international train community, railroading community, rail fan community, model railway community, whatever you want to call it. It is our great little community here that we have, and it's spreads across the borders of countries, and that's great. That's awesome. I'm glad we're all together in this, So, and then we're going to have John, like I said, in July, John Abatacola from TSG Multimedia, another stateside guy, another Yank, as some people call us, another Yankee. Yeah, he'll be doing it. His shows are always good, so that's going to be great. I look forward to that. And now we still have to get a guest host for April. Are you interested, Sparky? Maybe you, Container Man 68? We'll see. We'll have to find another one. We're taking applications, so let us know. We will see. We will see. Well, it's been about 48 minutes, almost 49 minutes since the broadcast started, so I'm going to wrap it up here. I got to go get my truck. They pull out of the shop, so hopefully they didn't put it in where I'm blocking something. I got to go back under my trailer. So I'm going to sign off here in about another minute. So I just thank you guys for coming to tonight's On Track Tuesday. It was a blast. It was great to share about tourist railways. And again, go click on my the link below in this channel description to go see that video that I posted the day, yesterday, about that tourist train, the tourist railway I rode on. And in my channel, feel free to check out too. Like I said, put together a whole bunch of different playlist that you can go to my channel that I've collected from all over YouTube. And one of the names of the playlist is called Tourist Railways. So if you want to go see that, you can see some tourist railways from all over the world, some really fascinating ones. And I also had that one I told you about, what was it, cog railways and different types of incline railways. That's another fascinating thing. There's a lot of good stuff there. If you like things about trains, I've put together a lot of good playlists. So thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate it, Ron, Toyman, and Northern Ohio Railroad, and GAFA. Thanks for joining us, and look forward to you for next week's live stream. Thank you all, Sparky and everybody, and I'm glad this live stream worked. The last time I did it, I got interrupted. What happened, I don't know if you guys know that, when I did it back in November, I got a phone call. You guys couldn't hear it ringing, but the phone call rang in, and I was broadcasting like I am now. I'm using my regular cell phone service internet connection. I'm not connected to a Wi-Fi or anything like that. This is just a regular cell phone. And somebody called me and interrupted the show. And it caused it to freak out after that. I had to go and reconnect and start the show. But tonight I disabled incoming calls so nobody would bother. But I'm glad you all joined us. Everybody here in the model railroading community. And we just had a great time. So, well, I'm going to sign off now. It's been great to see you guys. Have a good night. And maybe next time, hopefully next time, I'll be in the cab of my truck, or I might be at home. You never know. We're going to do them in the next live stream. We'll see where I'll be. Yep, I've muted my phone calls. I put do not disturb on so nobody could call me. That works. Well, good night, everybody. I'm glad you were here. Had a great show. Thanks for joining.